Hey everyone. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of requests to kind of uh learn more about my projections that I used. I did use this this spreadsheet here to actually secure an SBA loan. I didn't actually end up using the SBA loan, or didn't actually accept it or anything, but it did work to actually get the SBA loan. So I've had a lot of people in the comments and through email wanting to learn more about my projections and actually see them. So I thought I'd make a quick video, going over everything about my template and my projections here. I just want to start off by saying I'm not a licensed accountant, but I do have a bachelor's degree in accounting, so I understand kind of the gist of everything. If anyone who does know more about accounting, watches this video and sees anything that I do wrong or anything like that, please let me know. I don't want to be spreading, false information about anything. Also, if anyone who does run a pack and ship and sees any of these numbers that, you think are off, please let me know. And I can update this information for anyone else who's looking to start their own store. The only other thing I wanted to add is that I will be selling this spreadsheet as a template. I did spend a lot of time making this, so I just want to see something in return for anyone that's going to also, be doing the same thing. It is very user friendly. So basically, the idea and how I created it is to I have all of my figures in place. What I projections and what I actually spent here in the startup page, which we'll go over in a second. But it's really as easy just entering the numbers. Say your store release was only your deposit was only $10,000. Once you update each cell, it'll all the calculations will be made for you. So it's like that throughout the sheet, and I'll show you a few times how it works. But it will save anyone who's looking to open their own pack and ship store. It caters specifically to pack and ship stores. It'll save you a ton of time if you're looking to do a 5-year projection for any type of financing or loan that you need to do. So I will be selling this. We'll set it at $25 for the template. You could Venmo me or Zelle, anything like that. And then I'll just basically just email this to you where you can edit it. So you could do it through Excel as well. I could send it through Excel. It's really that simple. And if you have any questions, I'll include my phone number in there. If you have any questions about it or need anything updated, any other type of formulations added in here, I could do that for you. So we'll just do $25. I think that's pretty fair. If you try to find any other templates, they're not going to be catered to pack and ships. Yeah, we'll start with that. Um, for anyone else who wants to just actually have a copy of mine, I can send it as a PDF where you cannot edit it. But you can just have it as a reference for what I have set up. Yeah, feel free to email me. My email will be in the description below. It's postalprospackandship@gmail.com. Anyone who's already emailed me looking to see my projections, I will send those to you as soon as possible. But just want to get a video out here first, just explaining everything, so it's not a bunch of back and forth. Yeah, let's dive into it. So the first tab here is just the startup cost. So again, I have everything throughout this, for my store, but it's easy as just changing the numbers to make it to be, for your store. The startup page is what I actually spent in startup costs. And you can change it to be however you want if you buy the template. But yeah, we'll just kind of go through it quickly. I don't want this video, I could go into this for hours, but I'll just try to go through it quickly. So you can see all of the different categories here of what I actually spent. The only thing I broke out separately down here is furniture, fixture, and equipment. Sorry. And you can see everything I purchased here and the price after taxes and shipping, and it came out to $19,000. So that's why that's that. Also, column A throughout the entire spreadsheet will be my notes to try to make things a little bit clearer for anyone who's looking at it. But yeah, so column A will just be my notes throughout the spreadsheet. And if you're going to, actually send this to a bank, I would highly recommend um, hiding column A or just deleting it altogether. So it's just kind of the actual numbers that we're sending. Or you can create your own notes if you want the bank to see it. I just sent it with just, the numbers. So, yeah, so this is the startup page, and you can see here, this is what I didn't actually get a loan. I didn't actually use my loan. But I just wanted to break it out here because it does go into future tabs, and just wanted to show anyone who would want to get a loan kind of how this template works, and breaks out the owner contributions, which is what you would be paying out of pocket, and then what you would actually get financed as a loan through the bank. So yeah, you just want these two to equal each other so you can have the amount of money ready to spend on everything to get your, basically just get your doors open. So one question that I'll just go over quickly that I've gotten a lot is people ask, what I could have done differently to save money. Really, the only thing I think I could have done is, maybe just purchased one system to start. So it would have been about half this price. Maybe just get one or two boxes, mailbox setups, which, could have been a fourth or half of this price here. So if you, just got one system and two boxes to start, it would have been, about $7,000 that you could have saved to start. Other than that, you can get a little bit riskier and start with less capital. So this $10,000 is what I want to actually have in my business savings account to, kind of start after everything's purchased and we're opened. This will help me if I hire someone right away when we open, to be able to pay them, or if anything comes up I didn't think of, we'll have a good buffer of $10,000 to actually be able to use to start. So you probably won't need that much, but I'm usually on the safer side, so that's what I have set. And then unforeseen costs, probably won't spend that much, but I definitely could be missing something. I left space here if anyone, thinks of anything else in their startup costs that they want to do. You can add the title and how much you're going to spend on it, and it will formulate throughout the rest of the spreadsheet. But really that's about it. I do think you could probably get into a store and get it all started up pretty cheap. Maybe in the $50,000 range would probably be close to the bare minimum. The only other thing I'll add is that I did build everything in here myself. I didn't hire any labor, I didn't have to pay any labor hours or anything like that. I did it all myself. So really my only cost to actually build all my countertops and my shelving and everything like that came out to, just the cost of lumber and screws or nails. So if you are going to have to hire somebody to build out your furniture, it'll probably look better than mine. I'm not really that much of a carpenter, but I think I did all right. But if you're going to hire a carpenter or anything like that to actually build out your space, you definitely might want to budget a lot higher in this category here, or in your FF&E, to account for like the labor hours and stuff like that, and in more material or less material. I would definitely just talk to a contractor or a carpenter and kind of get a guesstimate of what it would cost to build out a pack and ship store. So yeah, that's about it. But I mean, I think the figure I'm at here is 63,800, and that's including, about $13,000 that I probably won't spend. So we're in the $50,000 range, just to get the doors open and be in business. I think that's pretty good. UPS would probably charge me like over $250,000 to open a store in this area. So I think we're doing all right so far. So but I had a lot of questions about my startup costs, so I just want to dive into that a little bit more. So yeah, so that's this page here. Banks are going to want to see that for loans. So it's pretty easy. You just pretty much add anything you want and put the projected costs, or if you actually know them. This is exactly what I spent, so I know those are accurate. But you basically just put everything in there and it'll calculate it for you, and it's actually used in later tabs as well. So we'll go into where we start actually projecting like business. for once we're open. So it does kind of have a flow to it throughout the tabs. But this page is where you'll actually go through the product. We have products. So this is everything that you can actually sell in a pack and ship store, or everything I will be selling. So packaging being, the box, packaging material, air pillows, bubble wrap, tape, that kind of stuff. My average cost when I tally everything up and divide it is about 85 cents. 85 cents per box, and including a little bit of packaging material in each box. I When I set my prices for each box to be competitive with, FedEx has their prices online, UPS, I found their prices online, and some of the other stores. When I average everything out, we should be right around $10.70 of profit per, actually boxing something up for a customer. And then the customer, when you add the two together, the customer would be paying about $11.55 to have their item, on average, have their item boxed up from our store. So you can change these if you get different prices, or you want to be a little bit more aggressive with your box prices, less aggressive. You can change these in this template. But yeah, it's basically the same thing going down. Shipping, this is what, this is just actually making the label for each carrier. So on average, kind of did this one backwards. So on average, from what I've seen online, people right now are paying about 29 cents or $29.25 on average for an actual shipment. So the way that breaks out is we get, from what I've also seen online, where most stores are doing about a 30% markup. So you'd have to pay $22.50 to the carrier for, on average for each label. So that's the actual cost of it. And then your profit is what you'd actually make off of each shipment. So that's how that's broken out. And then everything else, it's, the private and virtual mailboxes, there's no cost to it. I have, there's software for the virtual mailboxes, but that's in the actual fixed software cost in the next tab. And then private mailboxes, you already spent the money buying the mailboxes in your startup cost. So there's no cost to those mailboxes once you get them going. It's really just, mail sorting. So you're just pure profit at that point. So these are what I'll end up charging for my mailbox rental. It'll be about $21, and then we'll do $15 for virtual mail. And that's, you can see here the revenue, it's just pure profit. So and then we just have printing. I have a lease with my the person who's leasing me my printer. They will, they're going to take a cut that we have set up of each item that I print. So just basic black and white and color printing on average will cost me 16 cents between the printer lease, printer, and ink. Well, the lease covers the ink, sorry. So it's really just the printer lease and paper, which I have to buy. So that'll cost, on average, it would be about 16 cents per page that I print. And then my profit for that will be about 40 cents per page. And we're going to charge about 50 cents, 56 cents on average. Black and white will be less, but the color copies will be a little bit more. I got the pricing based off of what other people are charging in the area, and I'm set about the same. So that's just basic printing. And then we have specialty printing, which was kind of hard to calculate. But it's the same idea here, about 80 cents cost, $3.10 profit for each one. And greeting cards, pretty much everything else, there's not going to be too much. I'm not banking on these too much, but they, if you do well on them, they add up, and you make a nice profit off of each of these. Greeting cards, direct mail. If anyone doesn't know what direct mail is, you can do Christmas cards, direct mail, wedding invitations. It's basically someone would have us print something for them and actually mail it straight from our store, so they don't even have to touch it. So we'll have that as an option. I've talked to a few businesses in the area, and they were interested in doing direct mail through my store as well. So it's really just printing anything that they want and actually mailing it. So we'll make a little bit of profit off of each. But it does save them time, and just being able to do it straight from their store, and they don't have to use any man hours of their own to actually, put items in envelopes and send it out themselves. So this is the cost and profit for that I calculated. eBay sales, I'll probably remove that. I don't know if I'll actually do it or not, but I'm just guessing we'll take 20% of any item that someone wants us to sell for them. There's no cost to that as well. Drop off mail, that's also a big part of the business, is just anyone that, needs to have a place to actually get their box or envelope to, one of the carriers. So the carriers do pay you between 75 cents and $1 per item that gets dropped off at your store. So on average, we'll get 87 cents per drop off. And from what I've heard, it's about every 3 drop offs you get, you actually mail you actually package something for somebody. So, it adds up. If you get 3,000 drop offs in a month, that's, almost $3,000. So that's kind of cool. But, yeah, so that's basically that. I left space for one more item if you want to have something else in there that you're going to offer. Like notary. I probably should have put notary in there since I'll have that. But I forgot to add it in my forecasting. Let me see here. 1 second. Someone is calling me, so I'm going to pause for 1 second. Sorry about that. Once I find the pause button. All right, sorry about that. Postal Mates was calling me to get all the paperwork signed. All my computer systems and everything are supposed to be delivered tomorrow, which is exciting. Apparently it comes in 18 boxes for the 2 systems. So sorry in advance to the UPS delivery guy, but that's just how they mail it. So I'll probably do an unboxing video for that, so that'll be pretty fun. And people can kind of get an idea of what you get with the systems. And I'm not sponsored by Postalmate or Olsen and Knives or anything who sends all the equipment, but it'll be cool for other people to see like what you get and kind of how the package works and everything like that. So I'll make a video, the unboxing, and then they actually set up Postal Mates in there for you. So we'll do a video for that as well. But we'll get back to this. So yeah, it's pretty simple. You just put in everything that you can actually sell and make profit off of in your pack and ship store, the cost, the profit, and then it's already formulated, but you just add the 2 together for the total revenue. So pretty simple. And we'll keep going. So expenses, these are basically just your fixed expenses. This is everything that I'm going to be spending money on. I don't know what else people would be spending money on, but it's pretty simple. Rent, triple net if your lease has that. Sadly, mine does. So you have rent. You just type in your monthly rent cost. If it's $3,900, you could do that, and it'll calculate everything out for you. But we're at 3,200, so we'll put that back. So rent, triple net. So triple net is basically what landlords do to eliminate their cost of having a space to rent, but you end up paying like the property taxes and all kinds of stuff, which is kind of silly in my opinion. But for my lease, it's $1,900. I left it here. So 1, if anyone wants to see my projections, they can see it. And then 2, if your lease has triple net, you can add it in there, the cost of it. Utilities, so just water, power, simple stuff. Software, Postalmate software is about $215, and then yeah, it's $215. Let me update this. Sorry, so it's $215, and then my virtual mill software is, oh no, we're right at $300, and then this I added in my website costs as software as well. So it's about $300 a month for that. Internet, my internet's $110 a month with the it actually comes with a backup system. So a cellular signal backup system, which is cool. So if the internet does go out, you have the cellular signal type of internet to run as a backup. So $110 a month for that. Phone, I just got one of those apps that goes through my cell phone. I can hook it to a landline if I want to. So there's only $20 for that. Security, my store has all the ADT stuff already in it, so I just had to activate it again. It's about $30 a month for that. I gave myself a $150 a month budget to, do like online ads, any kind of marketing. My insurance is $150 a month, covers my store. It actually covers, if any theft, like stuff like that. So, if I'm holding a bunch of boxes for my PO customers and someone breaks in and steals them, my insurance does cover all the boxes that we're holding. Pretty much anything that would happen inside the store, and an umbrella in case someone gets hurt, anything like that. So we do have that. And then I just left the space open for if there's anything else anyone else wants to add. If they buy the template, you can add it in there. One thing I will say I should have added earlier is if you do want to purchase and use this template for yourself, I tried to make it where everything in the bold you really shouldn't edit, because it is basically being used to formulate stuff in further parts of the spreadsheet. So this one, I mean, all you'd have to do is just type in your monthly cost for each of these. You can change this. I'll unbold this. You can change these if you want to. It is kind of formulated in a different part because, like, I'll show you in a couple slides, or in a couple tabs, but I use, like, if you do change this, it's formulated to where it'll change it on another tab as well. So, yeah, shouldn't be a problem. If you just change the lettering, it won't mess it up. But this one's pretty easy. You just type in your monthly cost for each, and then it'll show you your costs for each year. It's just multiplying this by 12, and then doing a 1% increase, just a little bit of an inflation increase for projection purposes. And then it's really used for the profit loss, which is here at the end. We'll go through in a second. So personnel, this one's pretty easy as well. Just the different titles of who would actually be working in the store. Pay increases per year. I just have it set to 3. Probably would do higher. I'm not sure. But I just have it set to 3. If I have someone that's really good, I'm going to give them bonuses and higher pay increases. So, but I just have it set to 3 to start. And then you can set your own starting salaries. This is what I'm guessing I'll be paying. So yeah, basically all it does is you set your increases in your starting salaries, and it'll formulate, through the 5 years, how much you'll be paying each type of employee. And then down here, you just set how many of each type employee you'll want for every year in the next 5 years. So you see here, like, I have myself working here for the first 2 years, and then I'm hoping to become an absentee owner after that. So I start hiring, a manager that it basically acts as, they run the show. Assistant manager, of one full-time person that, just works the counters, and then maybe a part-time person that just comes in to, sort mail or something along those lines. So nothing crazy, but this is just my projections of how many people I'll have working here. I will say the staff is really the biggest cost of this business. You can see here, I mean, between $210,000 and $219,000 a year you're spending on just payroll. So I will say, be careful when doing this, and you'll see later on, I can show an example. Like if I add myself as an employee for these 3 years as well, I end up being in the negative in my projections. So I'll explain a little bit more about that towards the end, but just know that this is a pretty important section. It's the highest cost that you'll have in this business is, having employees. And once you add how many you want in each year, it just calculates based off of the salary up here, and it just tells you how much you'll actually spend in a year for your payroll. This is where things get real interesting. It's a really tough part of this spreadsheet is, trying to project how much of each item you'll sell. So if you remember from the, when you're setting the costs and the profit for each one, it does formulate, you can see here, it does formulate, what you type in there to this tab. So it's important not to, change too much. But basically, this is what I'm projecting for each item, how much I'll actually sell per month. So in my projections, I think I could do, on average 750 boxes that I'll actually box up for people. Items I'll actually box up for people. And then obviously Christmas will do a little bit more, it gets a little bit more crazy, but I'm hoping to, on average do about 750 a month. Shipping, this is, people coming in with their items already boxed, but they need the label. They need to pay to actually ship it. So this also includes me packaging it for someone. So I'm guessing maybe another 250 a month where I probably could be a little bit more aggressive with this, but this is my conservative guess. I'm guessing it will be about 1,000 a month in actually, labels printed. And then a little bit extra for the holidays. Mailboxes, I'll have 240. I'm going to go a little bit more into the mailboxes and the virtual mail when we get into the profit loss, because this is like one of the bigger items. And I think the most important to this business is getting mailboxes, rented out. But I only have 240 at the moment. So that's just what I have. Once I get them filled, that'll just be what that is, how much I make off of that. And then everything else, I'm hoping to do about 2,000 pages of printing a month. I think that's pretty conservative. Greeting cards and all that, I'm not really banking on those. Drop-off mail, I've heard it's a 3-to-1 ratio. You get 3 drop-offs to every 1 shipment. So I have 3,000 for that. I have a ton of businesses around me that I've already talked to, and they don't have that pickup service, so they'll probably just be bringing it here anyways. And again, you do get that between 75 cents and $1 per each one of these. So it is, it is a good amount of money for just dropping it off and you just giving it to the carrier driver. So yeah, if you're purchasing this template, you can just put your own projections for how much you think. I think I was pretty conservative with mine. Just because I'm in such an area and there's no one else within 7 miles that does this, and my intersection has 60,000 cars in a day. I think these are pretty good, but I think I was on the lower end. And then once you type these in, you don't have to do anything else below. It just formulates based off of your costs and profit of each item. You don't have to do anything else, and it'll tell you how much revenue you're going to bring in. I did add this here, so this would be like your yearly revenue. So this is the amount of money you bring in. So for example, in 2020, the average pack and ship store brought in $580,000 in total revenue. So that was 3 years ago. And that's an average. I think I'm in a well above average area. So I think I can beat that by quite a bit. So that's why my totals come out to $640,000 to, start. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And then it also breaks out your costs, your total costs by month. And then it breaks out what you actually profit off of each item per month as well. And it's all formulated. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is type in how much, your projections for how many you think you'll sell of each. So pretty easy. Up next, basically the same thing. But it just breaks it out into the yearly format. So back here where I kind of showed you, where I showed you it totals everything here. Basically, he's doing that as your 5-year forecast, which is what this template is and what the banks are going to want to see to get a loan. So it basically tallies everything that we just talked about, but it puts it in a yearly format for the next 5 years, assuming, 5% increases. I will say I would not recommend doing more than 5%. The banks don't really like that. They like to see between that 3 and 5% range from what I've seen. But I do think the way, the world's changing into e-commerce and stuff like that, I think we can assume 5% is fair, especially also because the way the pricing works for shipping, it's a tiered system. So the more boxes you send, the steeper discounts you get. I think 5% is pretty safe. So I have that set for the next 5 years. 2024 being my first year. I'm not going to, try to forecast the next 3 months, 3 or 4 months of this year. If you're buying this template at a future date, you can change these years however you want. But yeah, this just really breaks everything out from the last tab to a yearly format, which is what the banks are going to want to see. And they're really just going to want to see these gross profits here. I did have to add a general assumptions tab. So this is all pretty accurate based off of my store. I will say, to go and do a little research and figure out what, if you're in another state or another country, I don't know how your taxes work. But this is based off of Washington. So at the moment, like a short-term interest rate was about 9.5. The SBA loan rate for 10 years was 10.25. The federal tax rate for an LLC is 21% at the moment. So we have that. Washington doesn't have state tax rates, so we don't have to worry about that. But if you do, you can just type in the percentage number. And then personnel tax rates are 7% for me. So it's just assumptions. I would definitely, do your research. Banks are going to want to see that what these are and how they kind of play into your profit and loss. So we'll go into the next one. These are used here in a second. I'll show you. This is really for anyone that's going to want to get a loan. I will show this real quick because I did change the loan amount because I kind of goofed it up at first. So banks are also going to want to see that you understand how your loan payment plays into your projections and your profit and loss. So having this in there for them to see is really important. It's pretty simple. You just have the amount that you need for your loan. So in your startup area, it will formulate over. So whatever you put as your financing number that you'll need to have financed will feed over to here. This feeds from that general assumptions tab, the interest rate. So 10 years, 12 payments per year, one a month. And really all you would do is take this number, so 43,800. I just added a link. It's a pretty easy calculator to use. So we can take the 43,800. It's a 10-year loan, 120 payments total, and that interest rate was 10.25. And once you hit calculate, it'll tell you your monthly payment. So $584.90. So the easiest way to do that is just typing in $584.90. And then just copying it all the way down. Sorry, it's going to take a little bit to go down 120. I'm not like an Excel wizard, but I'm decent at it. There's probably a faster way to do that. So that's your monthly payment. I also didn't need to do that because what I want you to do with this tab is actually just hit that show amortization schedule. Set your start date. So we'll pretend mine is the first of the year in 2024. Once you do that, it'll change. And then really the easiest way to do that is just copy all of this. Sorry, again, it's going to take a second. Come on. It's pretty important because banks are going to, like I said, banks are going to want to see that you understand how this plays into your forecast. So once you do that, you can just actually hit, in this first cell here, paste it in there. And then it'll break everything down for the banks to see. Pretty easy. And then I don't want you to change this first cell because it does formulate in the next tab. So again, this is really for the banks, but it is important for you to have this in here if you're going to do a loan. If not, you could just delete this tab and you won't need it. So pretty easy. And then the last one and the most important one is basically your total 5-year forecast profit and loss. I didn't add any notes in here because there's not too much to add, and there's not much you'll have to change. There's nothing you'll have to actually edit in here. So everything that we've gone through so far formulates up to this, and this is really what the banks are going to look at. So you can see it's the next 5 years, next 5 full years are, the total sales. So our total revenue for everything that we went through in the, the yearly sales, monthly sales area, with that 5% increase year over year. The costs, which is also in the same tab, how much you're actually going to spend to sell the items, how much you pay the carriers, how much you pay for the boxes, everything like that, your actual cost to sell the items in your store or to sell the services. And then this will be, it's just, this divided by this is your actual margins for selling those items. And then below that is your profits. So this is, all the money that you've brought in after you paid for everything, or paid for the cost of goods sold. So this is where you're at when you get to this point. And then you start to bring down your expenses. So your payroll, your rent, your triple net, utilities, everything else that you have to pay for to keep your business running. You subtract from your gross profits. So you can see here, all of this total 283,000 is your actual operating cost. So all of your expenses. This operating cost is subtracted from your gross profits. And then you get this total here. So this is what you're left over with after, all of your operating costs. And this is what you're actually paying taxes on. Yeah. So, I mean, realistically, kind of business 101, if you don't want to give a bunch of money to the US government, you want to almost come up with expenses. I'm not trying to promote any kind of fraud, but, think of other things that you can do with your expenses, or any other money you could spend to try to, get this as close to zero as possible, because that'll, help you not have to pay as much in taxes. But if you do, this is just my projections right now. So all of everything that we just talked about, this is what we're left over with is, for the first year, we're at a little over $52,000. It'll break out how much you're going to spend in federal taxes, state taxes. Again, Washington doesn't have them. If you do add your state taxes into the general assumptions tab, it'll calculate how much you're going to have to pay in your payroll taxes. And then it'll actually show from the loan calculator how much you're going to spend each year on your loan as well. And once you get done with that, it'll actually leave you with what's left over. So your net profits from the business. You could see here, I mean, banks are going to want to see that you're going to profit more year over year. So that's what I was saying with the personnel, your payroll. That's a huge cost to this business, is how many people you hire to work at your store. So here, where we're only profiting $21,000, I have myself as an employee, which I will be working here. I could, if once we get into business and I see that we are, kind of hitting the numbers that I have projected, I can give myself a little bit of a pay increase to kind of get to like net zero. I also can just, save this money in, the business's bank account. There's a lot of options you can do once you get to your net profits. You can take all this money and, that's your dividends of the business, and that's your money if you want it. I definitely would recommend talking to an actual CPA or some kind of actual accountant about this, about what to do with this. I haven't done that yet. I have it scheduled for next week, so I might have some updates to this. But for anyone who might be getting a little bit deterred from this here, there is, some hidden money that it's hard to project into all of this. So, if you remember, I'm going to, I have an $80,000 salary for myself for these first 2 years. So I will be getting that money in if we're hitting these numbers. And then I also will have the options to take these net profits as well. But then here in 2026, when I become an absentee owner in my projections, we're only profiting $37,039.42. That would really be the only money that I can bring in. However, there's, you know, there's parts of this that are hard to project. So like, I think it really comes down to how many mailboxes you have rented out and how much, if you're doing virtual mail, how much virtual mail you have rented out. So what I mean by that is I'll go back and show you. So you can see here, we're just, right around $40,000 once I become an absentee owner. But if I go in, and by that third year, I have another, say 500 boxes rented out. So we're at 740 boxes. This is going to change the first 2 years dramatically, but I really just want to focus on the last 3 years of the forecast. So say you get another, 500 boxes, which from what I've seen from webinars from owners, there's a ton of stores that do over 700 boxes of private mailbox rentals. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to have, 700 boxes rented out, 740 boxes rented out, or even over 1,000. So once you change that in that tab here, you can see how it just skyrockets our profits, which is, amazing. So I don't want to look here for this, but, say on the third year, we have 740 boxes rented out. I'm an absentee owner with net profits of $142,000, $148,000, $154,000 in that fifth year. That's money you can make by not, really doing anything besides personnel, making sure that the store is, running smoothly. So this is my projections. Again, it's going to vary by area. I do feel pretty confident in these projections. I'm going to change this back because that's a little crazy right now. I think, I am focusing on renting these boxes, but I wanted to show everyone what that looks like. If you get to that third year and you really dial things in and focus on renting out those boxes, it does help your, oh shit, I just opened PowerPoint. It does help your net profits. So, let me go back in here. So when we go back to 240 again, our profits are not as high, but I do think there's in my area, there's a ton of room, there's a ton of possibility to rent, 700 to 1,000 private mailboxes, and I have the room for it. So that's what I'm thinking, but this is really what banks are going to want to see. So that's why I want to make this video. I want to show people that, kind of what I'm guessing my store will do. I don't think these seem crazy. These seem crazy to me to bring in this much money for a pack and ship store, but again, it's such a crazy area that I'm in. I think it's very doable. And from what I've seen from other, store owners, people make way more than this as well. So these are my projections. Again, this template will be for sale for $25. It includes being able to, call me anytime, email me, which I already answer everyone's emails, but you can, if you need any help with this, I'm more than happy to help you with it. I know this is a hard part for anyone that doesn't have an accounting background to do, and the banks make it really confusing. So I wanted to do this for anyone that's interested. And also, again, if you just want to, you probably could just pause on most of this video, but if you want to have a copy of this to see for yourself, it'll be in PDF format where you can't edit it. But if you want a copy, just email me. I can send it to you. Not a problem. But other than that, yeah, I don't want this to go too long. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me. If you're interested in purchasing the template to use for your own forecasting, again, email me. It's postalprospackandship@gmail.com. And also, again, if anyone, if you're watching this, you're an accountant or, you're a store owner and you think anything looks crazy, please let me know. I want to edit or, remake a different video that shows more accurate data for everybody. I don't want to spread false information. But this is just my understanding of things. And I do hope it helps anyone that's interested in watching. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for watching. And I think up next, we'll have all of our, kind of more electronics coming in tomorrow. So we'll make a video on that. If anyone has any recommendations for videos or anything they want to know, let me know. Thanks, everyone.